Hey, Jarek here, and I find dinosaurs way more interesting to fight against and play as in first-person shooters than your standard modern military enemies or boomer shooter enemies. Nothing wrong with those genres, but where did they go? What happened to dinosaur games? You occasionally will see a multiplayer team-based shooter pop up.
Can you not do that? What the f***, Jarek?
But for the most part, things like Turok don't exist anymore. Until now. This game is Dino Trauma, and the main menu told me I was immediately going to enjoy it. Now their Steam says they are inspired by Doom, Quake, Blood, Turok, Dino Crisis, and all your 90s survival horror favorites. But I'm not really seeing much Doom or Quake or Blood. I'm not even really seeing much Turok other than the fact that there's dinosaurs in this game. What I am seeing is Dino Crisis and a lot of PlayStation 1 survival horror games. And if you scroll down on their Steam page, it confirms that, saying Dino Trauma gives you a possibility to go back to your lovely childhood with all your PlayStation 1 and PC classics. And yeah, it's very apparent. They want this to be retro in a PlayStation 1 style rather than a typical 90s PC first-person shooter style. I'm all for it. We have seen a ton of Quake-style games, but we don't get many of these. On a more subjective level, I've never been a huge fan of the early 3D Quake aesthetics, yet something about PlayStation 1 does tickle my brain in the way I think Quake tickles the brain of many other people. This isn't because I only was a console gamer, no, I played on PC more than anything else. But this is a very distinct look. Diving into the settings, you have quite a few options to adjust how retro it should look. Even a render scaling option that makes it look more like a PS1 game with wobbly textures in the distance, and more clear if you don't want that. I personally decided to keep this default look. The devs were clearly going for it, and a lot of these models weren't really made with clarity in mind. As a result, this M9, for example, I think looks better with the default options compared to it looking clearer. This is all subjective, and I can easily see someone turning this off if they want the game to look more clear. In fact, I had to turn it off a few times just so I could read what I was looking at, but most of the time it didn't seem to bother me. It's not perfect though. Let's talk about this FOV slider. It exists, which is good, but when you raise the FOV, it gives you a pretty hard fisheye lens. It's almost like it was made for a 4:3 aspect ratio, which it might have been. I mean, they are trying to make it look like a PS1 game, so that wouldn't surprise me. But the game will default to your resolution, so I have a feeling almost everyone is going to be playing this in widescreen. The result is that if you raise the FOV, you start seeing your gun stretch and get narrow and weird things like that. But if you want to play with the default FOV, it's awful. It's only 60, so I wouldn't recommend doing that either. I think this is something that definitely needs to be looked at. Again, you can make an argument that they're trying to make it like the original PS1 game, but I don't think that's something we should do in the case of an FOV. As for performance, it runs mostly fine, but there was one level where my frame rate was kind of all over the place. It wasn't unplayable, and it was the only level where this happened, but it did happen on this level quite often. And by quite often, I mean specifically in one part of a building, and the map is built very vertically, so anytime you went by that part, no matter what floor you were on, your frame rate sort of tanked. A little bit more optimizing, and I think these levels will be perfect. But okay, enough about the technical stuff. What's going on in this game? As far as story goes, I don't know. It really isn't explained. You're kind of just dumped into the map. But what it lacks in direct story, it more than makes up for environmental storytelling. I mean, do you really need cutscenes telling you what's going on here? It's basically Jurassic Park again. You see dinosaurs in test tubes, you find PDAs where people met their demise. This guy knew something was going wrong and just decided to stay in bed and hope it would go away. I get you, buddy. This guy presumably fell to his death. This game has this kind of storytelling in spades. So it wasn't until one of my viewers asked what was going on in the story that I even thought about it. The world just makes sense. They wanted to make this game atmospheric. There is so much attention to detail in the world around you. There's always moody ambience in the background. You'll hear slight dinosaur noises rustling through vents. They may or may not be actually about to attack you, you never really know. What you do know is you feel alone, and there are dinosaurs all over. It really did nail that survival horror feeling that they were going for. While the obvious comparisons are things like Dino Crisis or Silent Hill, it also kind of reminds me of the original Killing Floor mod, just gritty. As for the actual gameplay, it's a somewhat linear affair. Kind of. The maps do require you finding keycards and then opening up those doors to continue and progress. But the maps are designed in a way to feel mostly linear, so when you find a keycard, you generally are right where you need to be. Usually. Now I can see where they're inspired by Doom. This is very much so Doom map design. That is a good and a bad thing. This is not one of those where the f do I go games. Usually you know where you need to go, but the few times you don't, it's really easy to miss something small and get lost for an hour, especially with these damn yellow boxes. So these little electrical boxes are what you have to shoot to get lasers out of your way, and they're usually tucked away in a corner somewhere easy to miss. Almost every time I got stuck in this game, it was because of one of these. I would look through a long play and feel very stupid, but also feel like something needs to draw my attention that direction. Make sparks coming out of it or something like that. Just a little bit more needs to be done. And especially don't redirect my attention in the wrong way for seemingly no reason. Example, I turned off the steam with this valve, and now I need to figure out where that steam got turned off. The door next to me is locked up, so I can't go that way. So I then spent the next 20 minutes or whatever trying to figure out where the hell I need to go, only to find out there was actually a yellow box in that room I needed to shoot which would unlock the door, and the steam was behind that door. If the steam is already stopping me from progressing, why even lock the door? It's little stuff like this that will get you lost on these maps for longer than you should. They're otherwise fine, but a few little refinements will make them almost perfect. We don't want the game holding our hand, but we still don't want to get lost, and that's a difficult thing to balance. But okay, the important parts. What about the guns and the dinosaurs? First, starting with the guns, and more importantly to this game, your movement, it's pretty slow. This does want to feel like a survival horror game, so you can't move incredibly quick. You can sprint, but you don't have much stamina, and you can't shoot while you're sprinting. All of this is a good thing in my opinion. You're being hunted by dinosaurs. You shouldn't feel like the powerful one. The dinosaurs have a good variety of everything you would expect, and the game has a slow progression from small, weak dinosaurs to large, strong dinosaurs. You'll see compies, raptors, dilos, ranging up to spinosauruses, and of course a T-Rex. They even have classes within these dinosaurs. For example, elite raptors have more health and do more damage. These dinosaur models are rather charming, and I mean the main menu displays that right away. They look retro, but they also look clean at the same time. I love them. If you're wondering if I have a slight dinosaur bias, this dragon that you've been seeing for years is part T-Rex and was heavily inspired by T-Rex features. So yes, I do. But now I have to talk about the weapons, and this is where I have some complaints. The biggest one is that you just don't find ammo. Now I know this is a survival horror game and you're not supposed to find a ton of ammo. The problem is that I only found ammo for the pistol, and quite a bit of it. In second place was for the shotgun, and then I basically found almost nothing for the rest. This effectively means you will be using almost nothing but the pistol and shotgun throughout the entire game. I really think this needs to be majorly changed. What is the point of giving me dual Uzis or a crossbow if I never even use it? Those aren't even overpowered by any means, at least not the crossbow. So why not give me more ammo? You do need variety in a game like this, so I would like to be able to use all the weapons at my disposal. As for the weapons themselves, they feel fitting to the part. They do feel more like a PlayStation 1 gun. They don't have a loud, powerful sound. They're not going to have a huge punch to them, and I'm pretty sure that's intentional. But they do what they're supposed to with some weird quirks that I'm not a huge fan of. For example, all of these have very bizarre split functions that kind of make other weapons redundant. You know how you find a ton of ammo for the pistol? Well, the pistol does not share ammo with the Uzis, and since you get so much ammo with the pistol, you'll pretty much only be using that. But wait till you hear the split function, it can be fully automatic. So then what's the point of the Uzis? The pistol does a pretty good amount of damage, you get more ammo with it, and it's full auto. I could understand if the split function was burst fire, just give you an M93R instead, but making it full auto I think is a little weird. But wait till you hear what the shotgun does. The shotgun can be changed to fire one shot at a time, 2 shots at a time, or 3 shots at a time. Yep, it makes no sense, but more importantly, it kind of invalidates other weapons because that's incredibly strong. Especially since they're going more out of their way with the reload to make it more survival horror-esque. To reload the shotgun, you need to press reload for every individual shotgun shell. Personally, I think the split functions don't fit here and it shouldn't have them. Especially since this makes you stronger than you should be. Remember when I said it should feel like you're being hunted by dinosaurs, not be the hunter? Well, if your shotgun fires 3 shells at once, you're kind of strong against the base dinosaurs, and they're not really much of a threat. Same with the other split functions. And then there comes water. Water should be terrifying in a game like this. Remember how you never wanted to go into water in Half-Life 1? Or about any other video game on the face of the earth? You're out of your element, you shouldn't feel comfortable. But in this game, all of your weapons function completely normal underwater, so it's fine. It's really not frightening at all. I think only your crossbow should work underwater. Then you really wouldn't want to be down there. Just give me more ammo for the crossbow too. Or put more ammo for the crossbow where there's water. What I do like is the laser weapon you get. It's a little out of place, but I guess you are in a future sci-fi facility that can bring back dinosaurs, so who cares? Yeah, this thing is very strong. It's basically your BFG, and it's pretty fun. You get it later in the game because at this point you're starting to fight larger dinosaurs that kind of function as mini-bosses. For example, the Triceratops or the Spinosaurus. Yes, these things move slowly and they look not intimidating, but if they hit you, they do a ton of damage. And of course, as you would expect, the final boss is a T-Rex. It wouldn't be any other way. Not the worst T-Rex boss fight I've ever had. Could be better, but definitely could be a hell of a lot worse. This game is in early access, and it took me about 3 hours to beat the levels in the game. But for only $12, I think it's worth it. Especially because it comes with an endless mode. This is more than just an open space with dinosaurs constantly running at you. You get access to the entire map, and it is wave-based. As you progress to the higher waves, you will get access to the stronger weapons, and the more powerful dinosaurs will show up. It's not a revolutionary idea by any means, but it is quite fun, and I kind of wish it as co-op. That would be enjoyable. So what's my conclusion on Dino Trauma? What's my final opinions? I love what this is. There's a few things that could be fixed, a few things that could be changed, but what we already have deserves the very positive review rating it has on Steam. My first thought when I saw it is that it looks similar to Compound Fracture, another dinosaur game set to come out eventually. And if we keep getting more games like this, I will be completely happy. I would highly recommend. Hey, huge thanks to my channel members. If you become a YouTube member by clicking the join button by the subscribe button, then you will get weekly shoutouts and the ability to see my videos at least a week early. Huge thanks to everyone that joined me over on Twitch. It's always fun streaming with you guys. Click that link in the bottom right if you want to go follow over on my Twitch. Thank all of you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.